Today, in cannabis news, during a meeting regarding drug overdoses, U.S. senators and federal authorities addressed cannabis legalization and drug harm minimization, while legislators in the U.S. Congress push for state cannabis safeguards. A Republican lawmaker pushes to repeal state medical cannabis protections. And despite the United States' history of pushing for global sports cannabis prohibition, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency head says it backs the liberalization of cannabis policies. It's Tuesday, July 27th, and this is your Trichomes Morning Buzz.
Broadcasting live from the Trichomes.com studios in Southern California. It's time for your Morning Buzz. We bring you late-breaking news that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the cannabis industry.
First up, during a U.S. Senate Narcotics Commission meeting, legislators and leading federal health authorities addressed cannabis and wider drug policy matters, with topics ranging from THC levels and cannabis studies to syringe exchange programs and the necessity to stop racially discriminatory policing. The purpose of the Senate Caucus on International Narcotics Control hearing was to discuss the drug overdose crisis and changing trends that have resulted thus far from the COVID-19 pandemic. However, despite the fact that the commission's chairperson, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who serves a state that recently legalized a crucial harm reduction structure that lets persons consume illicit substances under medical supervision, commission members noticeably avoided discussing that subject. Senator Josh Miller, who sponsored the safe injection law, said they were not disappointed that none of the Rhode Island lawmakers at the federal overdose meeting expressly discussed the issue, and that there will be ample opportunity in the coming months to do so. Nora Volkow, the director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, did provide written testimony on a major policy issue for supporters, drug decriminalization. The coronavirus pandemic, they said, highlighted the large racial health disparities in the United States, adding that Black people have experienced worse outcomes during the pandemic, continue to die at a greater rate than white Americans, and also suffer disproportionately from a wide range of other acute and chronic illnesses.
Next up, following a bipartisan group of United States representatives distributing a letter last week to drum up support for an amendment to safeguard all tribal and state cannabis systems from federal intervention, currently has 15 co-sponsors. The reform proposal could be voted on this week in the House. The plan is to include the amendment in the Commerce, Justice, Science, and Related Agencies, or CJS, Appropriations Bill for the fiscal year of 2022. Conversely, Representative Doug LaMaffa has filed a rival bill that would end federal safeguards for states that have legalized medical cannabis, including their state of California, that since 2014 has been in effect and extended with bipartisan support. Considering the Democratic majority in Congress and the growing bipartisan backing for cannabis policy reform, supporters aren't too worried for Representative LaMaffa's proposal. The Republican congressperson has a history of being a fervent reform critic, even going as far as to join local law enforcement in bulldozing illegal cannabis cultivation facilities in California.
Last up, a representative from the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, or USADA, passed fault for U.S. sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson's disqualification from the Tokyo Olympics due to a positive cannabis screening to the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, stating that the National Sports Agency is heartbroken over the suspension and backs liberation of existing prohibitions, but that its power is limited when it comes to enforcing global substance policies. Edwin Moses, a two-time Olympic track and field gold medalist and the emeritus head of USADA, testified before a legislative panel on international sports and was grilled over the contentious disqualification by committee co-chair Representative Steve Cohen. Cohen, who had before criticized Richardson's suspension and called for federal steps to stop cannabis prohibition at a different congressional meeting, called the issue a shame, particularly since the runner confessed to consuming cannabis in a legal region after hearing of their mother's death. adding that cannabis is not a performance-enhancing drug unless you're involved in the hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July at Coney Island. Moses replied that the World Anti-Doping Agency is a global agency made up of 650 organizations, and neither the United States Olympic Committee nor USADA nor the USA Track and Field have anything to do with making up the rules. However, in a communication to Representatives Jamie Raskin and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez earlier this month, WADA stated that the United States played a key role in enforcing the cannabis restriction. Richard Pound, WADA's first president, echoed kindred remarks, noting that the U.S. effectively coerced the rest of the world into adding cannabis to the prohibited substances registry.
That was today's Buzz. Thanks for listening. For more cannabis news and insights from industry professionals and a place to discuss these stories and others, visit trichomes.com.
And be sure to catch up with all of our other cannabis industry-related podcasts like Hash It Out, Careers in Cannabis, or the International Cannabis Conversation, wherever you get your podcasts. For trichomes.com, I'm RJ Balde.
And I'm Devin Leal. Have a great day.